Welcome to the West Virginia Case Podcast, hosted by Les Odell. Join us as we dive deep into all things strange, including Bigfoot, aliens, ghosts, and more. Pull up a chair and set for a spell. It's going to be a great time. Now, without further delay, let's get the show started.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey folks, welcome back to the West Virginia Case Podcast. Tonight we're just going to have a sit around BS kind of conversation with some folks that I really enjoy having conversations with, and a lot of good friends coming on. Right now we have Bill Rigby, Ron Howes, and John Stasko, and Tammy Thrasher. We're just going to talk about Bigfoot in general. We'll talk about maybe some, maybe their experiences, things they've heard from other people, some theories they may have, what they think of other theories, things like that. We're just going to have a roundtable discussion. And as always, you're more welcome to ask questions. We encourage that. And with that being said, if you have an experience, or if you've had a sighting, Bigfoot related, or if it's ghost, UFOs, or you have something you would like to talk about on the show, just send me an email at westvirginiacase304@yahoo.com. And we'll go ahead and bring on, it looks like we might have lost John and Ron, so we'll go ahead and bring on Bill and Tammy.
Hey, Les. Hi, Tammy.
Hey, guys.
Hi, Les. Hi, Bill.
How are you guys tonight?
Well, I've been busy all darn day.
I seen that. I seen that.
Yeah, it was productive
the
last 2 days, so I'm kind of tired. I ain't used to working.
I hear you. Yeah. What all did you have done? You had, for your wife, you had a chairlift put in.
Yep.
And a ramp out front, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And we had to do some alterations to the front of the house to have the ramp put in. So it's yesterday was doing that and doing some other work on the side of the house, and it's like, man, I ain't used to working. I'm tired.
Oh yeah. I also see you got you a new tractor.
Yeah, you just think my big green tractor's sexy.
That's right. Big green tractors are sexy.
Yeah.
Nothing runs like a deer.
It's not running. I got the yard cut and the ignition coil went out in it.
Oh, goodness.
And I called the guy on it, and he's coming to put the new one in Saturday.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So
good.
It's all good.
Yeah. So how have you been, Tammy?
I've been pretty good. Cleaning up after my last camping trip. I got some holes in my tent.
Ooh.
Just, the normal after camping stuff.
Yeah. Tammy's been doing a lot of camping here lately in a pretty well-known area. I'll just say that it's a pretty well-known area that she's been documenting some vocals and some other things in that area here recently, and hopefully I get the chance to go up and hang out with her on the property. But yeah, it's been she's been telling me a bunch of stuff's going on, so it sounds very interesting.
I'd like to hear what's been going on down there. Yeah, it's been. I got called out Sunday morning to take a look at a print about 20 minutes north of me, and my wife says, "Where are you going?" I says, "I'm going to go check out a print. I might be able to cast it." Well, it was in a sandy gravel area, and I said, "Nah, it's going to look like crap with all the little pea gravel in it." So I didn't cast it, but I took pictures and that. And the one that found it is a good friend of mine, Don Allebrand. And he's out there all the time. So he says that was not there here a week or so ago. So it was interesting. I hear Ron, I hear John.
Yeah, I think they're still trying to get everything to work here.
It's not working. It's only...
Okay, I'm using my phone right now, so.
All right, I'm gonna unmute John here. Yeah, we're having a little bit of technical. Well, I want to unmute for me, Bill. I can't get to unmute. There
He's doing it. There.
I got it. No, there. What happened?
Wait a minute.
There we go.
Wait a minute.
All right, guys, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yep.
How close are you guys to each other?
We're side by side.
Yeah, we're getting back.
I'm going to move away from.
Yeah, we're getting that back feed.
I'm getting too old for this. Okay. Better.
I'm gonna have to go in the other room to get away from the feedback. We're still trying to get this.
Okay, guys. Well, we got technical difficulties, but we're getting it.
The dogs know how to get it.
Yeah.
I'll say. Yeah, but see, they got good Wi-Fi. Anyhow, so I'm sorry, but we're having technical. Well, hopefully, we've got it all resolved now. We'll see.
That's all right. I know it might have been a little bit of a challenge here, but we'll get it.
So, hi to everybody.
Hi, John. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm just hanging out, with everybody. So, you know how I am. I'm easy to get along with. Sometimes. But anyhow, so did you all see the little bit of stuff I sent you on with the case I had in 91?
Yeah, I briefly looked over it. I haven't got a chance to sit down in detail and read it, but you're more welcome to tell us about it.
Yeah, well, I was on this case with my friend Devin. Devin's a nuclear engineer. He passed away here some years ago. He's a big boy. He's bigger than I am. He's 6'6.5", 660 pounds. He designed and built reactors for atomic subs. Anyhow, we met through Stan Gordon's group. You still hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
You all?
Yeah, we can hear you, John.
I think he lost us. Can you hear us, John?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Anyhow, so we got a case from this family. They called us and said they were having Bigfoot sightings in their backyard. Now, their backyard bordered these railroad tracks that were supposedly haunted. So we didn't go down there for that purpose. We went down because they said they saw a Bigfoot. So Devin and I were on this case for about a year. Well, we started in the summertime, and we started scouting the area. Now, they live, well, right now there's a lot. There used to be big farms and stuff up that area, big open areas and fields and forests and stuff, and next to a creek and these old railroad tracks, which are supposedly haunted by a ghost. Anyhow, so one day I sent Devin along the railroad tracks, and I climbed a tree about 25 feet up, and I had my camera with me, and Devin said something was throwing boulder-sized rocks at him. Okay, then it was heading my way. So I heard some rustling in the brush down below me, and I looked down. I saw two sets of green eyes looking up at me, and I got pictures of it. Okay, well, this went on for a while. We found some tracks and things of this nature and stuff, but we had there was 10 people down there, counting some other investigators from the group and the family that lived there. Well, anyhow, one night, this is getting around winter time at this point. We were on this case a year, just so you know. I'm walking out of the woods, and two of these juvenile Bigfoot followed me out of the woods, between 5 and 6 feet tall. Everybody saw them. So they were definitely juvenile. They were not that big, but not that heavy compared to us. But anyhow, so I get home from that case that night. We were all excited about that. And when I got home, I got a phone call the next day from Channel 2 News, KDK here in Pittsburgh, from Mary Robb Jackson. And she says, John, she says, I understand you're the lead investigator for Washington, Greene, and Fayette counties. I said, yeah. I said, what's up? They said, we've had a Bigfoot sighting up in a place called Crescent Heights. Would you mind if we came down and picked you up and, in our vehicle and, we went up to the site? I said, sure. Well, that day it had gone down to 20 below zero with the wind chill and everything, snow. So they came down, picked me up. Now this area, Crescent Heights, is primary. A lot of black people live there, and they have a church that sits on top of this hill. It's away from the town on a Red Dog Road. So we drive up there, and there's other people up there at this point. So we saw 2 sets of tracks. Now I told Bill about this when I did his speaking thing up there in Lindora last year or year before. Anyhow, so we got up there, and there's 2 sets of tracks. The first set was the biggest. It was 22 inches long, basically. The second set of tracks was 18 inches long. So I have what's called a soil compaction device, Les. Now, what that does, it gives me an actual, pretty close to actual weight of whatever made that imprint by the depth of the imprint.
Right.
So with a big set of tracks, I measured, and it indicated a weight around 1,200 pounds. That's bigger than a grizzly bear.
Right.
The second set of tracks, which was up a little higher on the hill, was indicated a weight on 1 foot of 800 pounds. But on the other foot, it indicated weight around 1,000 pounds. Now, why do you think that is?
The soil could have been compact.
Yeah.
No, it's carrying something.
Right.
Baby.
About a 200-pound something.
Yeah.
Now, the tracks were about almost 10 feet apart. Okay, I couldn't jump between those 2 tracks, and I'm a big guy. Bill will tell you I'm about 6'4" or so, but I weighed about 230, 240 at the time. Mary Robb, who's only 5 foot tall, couldn't even come close to it. Now, I found hair samples also, and I took those hair samples at California University, and 2 weeks later, they came back with the result of unknown hominid. Now, moving further along, about a month later, we're into November at this point, late November, early December. I get a call. Now, this is before the advent of cell phones. So I get a call from California Chief of Police, Charlie Filoni. He says, John, can you come up to High School Hill? I said, what's going on, Charlie? He says, I can't talk about it over the phone. So I drive up there. I was armed with a portable spotlight called a Q-beam and a portable power pack and a stun gun. I always carried a stun gun because it was a 1,000,000-volt stun gun because I carried a lot of money when I worked for this environmental company. I was a boss. Anyhow, so I get up there and there's 42 people there, 30 civilians and 12 police officers on the right-hand side of the road. And I said, what's going on? And they said, look up there. I looked up by this high tension tower, it was about 150 feet off the road. And I saw something leaning against this high tension tower. By about this time, it was around midnight. There was no snow on the road, but only on the grassy areas and parts. So I said, let's go. So I start walking up over the embankment and I look behind me and the police officers weren't following me. I said, you guys coming? They go, no, look at the size of that. I'm not going to say what they said, but look at the size of that thing. I said, well, I'm going. I walked up and the closer I could get, I could smell it before I could see it. This thing smelled like dead animals, like the death and dirt and leaves and everything else. I got within 15 feet, probably about 12 to 13 feet away from this thing. Now, I'm not a little short guy, okay? This thing, I know how tall it was because I saw it lean against the high tension tower. I measured after it left how high it was. It was about 10 feet, a 10-foot tall Bigfoot. The hair was at least 12 to 18 inches long. It was dark brown in color with red highlights through it, dark red highlights. There was no discerning genitalia on it. I couldn't see its ears. Its face was pretty clear, like except for right here. I mean, the head and around the chin and right here was covered with hair. I couldn't see the ears, as I said, at all. The arms were massive. They were semi-crossed. They looked like tree trunks. Okay. Now this thing looked at me and stared down at me when I shined the light in its eyes. Now, as you all know, being investigators, primates don't have eye shine. This thing had eye shine, green eye shine. It looked at me and it tilted its head like this and it tilted its head this way and looking down at me with its arms still crossed. And you all know what infrasound is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this thing, I got waves and waves of what I call sadness emanating from it. I don't know how else to explain it. I mean, it was a very strong feeling. It was palpable. I could feel it like vibrating against me. Very strong feeling. After that happened, I got about 15 to 20 second or so look at this thing close up. I mean, like I said, it had to have been a male because as big as it was. I don't know because I couldn't see the genitalia. You know, you see these renditions on Facebook where people draw Bigfoot like a gigantic, incredible Hulk with muscles showing there. They're not like that. They don't look like that. You know, I don't like it when something's misrepresented, you know, unless they shaved it bald or something. But anyhow, this thing in 3 strides covered 30 feet faster from a dead stop, mind you, faster than any rabbit or deer I ever saw in my life. It went into the woods. I tried to keep up with it. Back then, I didn't have the medical issues I have now, but I couldn't keep up with it because it moved that fast. I can see how they can run a deer down, okay, or a rabbit for that matter. I got hair samples of it. It was crashing through the bushes, okay? But 42 people saw this before I even got on site, okay? This was all over the news. So that's 2 so far. The third one, well, there's 2 at the first place I told you about down in Cannonsburg on McMurray Road. This one here, and then my wife and I were going up to Cheat Lake last year. Up, you know that long grade, Les, going up to Cooper's Rocks?
Mm-hmm.
It was standing there at the tree line looking. It was about 8 foot tall. So my wife says, hurry, look at that, John. Look, stop, stop, stop. Well, there was cars behind me, so I pulled over and I tried to hustle down the hill as fast as I could. It was already gone. So I've seen 4 of them in my life. Now, I'm of the belief that you're not going to see these things unless they want you to see them. That's just my opinion. I can tell you one thing for certain, though. People say this is an animal. It's not an animal. I don't know what it is, but it's not an animal. It's intelligent. It's self-aware. Okay, it knows man's capabilities. And the other thing I want to bring to attention to everybody listening is that it differs in a lot of respects from the skunk ape down south, the Bogey Creek monster, and the Sasquatches that are feral up there near the Pacific Northwest. I'll tell you why and how they differ. The Bigfoot that live around these areas have learned to cohabitate within urban areas and close to human domains. They don't kill cattle, which we have plenty here, or sheep or anything like that, because they know that man could come track them down with animals or dogs and such of these things. But the ones that are more feral that live out in the Pacific Northwest seem to be more territorial and more dangerous. And I cite the Portlock incident for that. You remember about the town of Portlock that they had to abandon because all the people were getting murdered. Okay. Now, my opinion is people, you know, I'm going to relinquish my mouth because Bill will tell you I can talk for days. But the thing is that my opinion is.
I got the duct tape ready, John. I got the duct tape ready.
You got the duct tape ready? Okay. Anyhow, my opinion is these creatures are not a descendant of Gigantopithecus, nor of the Denisovan. You know what a Denisovan is? It was a very robust hominid that lived a long, long time ago, 150,000 years ago, about 8 feet tall. But I don't think these creatures are descendants of anything. They're a separate breed of something. Now, I know I might have a lot of people say, and they disagree with me, do I believe they come in through portals and such? I don't think so. But I do believe this because I've been on a number of investigations. And in my life, just so you know, I've been on over 5,000 different types of paranormal investigations, everything from Bigfoot to UFOs to cryptids of all type to ghosts to hauntings. I was actually a witness to an exorcism, been on Unsolved Mysteries a couple of times. So I've been on a lot of cases, including one vampire case, which I told Bill about a long time ago, but maybe I'll get to tell you that. But anyhow, the thing is, I believe these creatures were brought here. And the reason I say that is because I've talked to people who have actually seen Bigfoot-like creatures in close proximity to hovering UFOs or landed UFOs, either going into or coming out of them. So in my opinion, my humble opinion, having done this for 56 years, these things are not of Earth. I think they were brought here. I think they're highly intelligent. Just because they look like a big ape doesn't mean they are ape. They're ape-like in appearance, but that's where the similarity ends. These are highly intelligent, sentient, self-aware beings. And I don't think anybody should hunt them or try to kill them or anything like that. You can hunt them, but don't kill them. To me, that would be murder.
I got one question. I got one question. Well, there's 2. I'll ask mine first. You said that there was 42 people there and it made the news. Is there any place we can find that news, whether it was Was it in any newspapers? Was it published anywhere? Did it make
Well,
the
here's
news
the thing.
channel?
About 2 months ago, I tried calling the California police chief about this, and the California police, and their records, they don't keep records back that far. But the only person would know about this right now is Charlie Filoni, and he lives down in Florida. But we did, I mean, there was, like I said, now I took some of my co-investigators that I'm friends with. I took Ron or Dan and Julie and some others up to that area and showed them where this was and stuff. We had a rash of Bigfoot sightings around this time. Charlie also said that one of his officers saw one of them squatting down off of Route 43 in the woods, on the edge of the woods, watching traffic. We had within about a 2.5 week period, about 500 sightings. I had the Connellsville police calling us. I had the state police calling us. I went up to the old stone quarry in Connellsville, and Devin and I went up and we found tracks going into this big stone quarry type cave. I mean, all over the place. I even talked to a priest up here in Brownsville, and he lived up by Patsy Hillman Park. And he said he came out one night. It was to put his trash out, and he had some pizza in a box. It was old. He wanted to throw it out, and he saw a family of them out there. A small one, a real small one, and 2 large ones. But I want to say this too about that sighting in Crescent Heights before I forget. When Mary Robb and I followed the tracks to the edge of the hillside, you could see they squatted down. You could see their butt prints where they squatted down looking into the town, okay? But I'm looking for footprints from that point on. I didn't find any footprints. So I looked real hard at the footprints that we saw. I noticed they backtracked into their footprints like an Indian would do. Remember how the Indians used to do that, backtracking? Right to the inside the woods where you couldn't follow their tracks. These are smart creatures. Okay. Now the case, like I said, in Canonsburg, I'm kind of going back and forth on this. The case in Canonsburg was published by Keith Bastiani after he asked my permission to publish the case. He wasn't on the scene, but I will tell you this: also the case in Crescent Heights, where Devin and I went, we also took Dr. Paul Johnson. That's when he was brand new at this stuff. Paul's a tall, skinny guy. He's 6'6", skinny as a rail. And then Devin's 6'6.5", big as a house. And there's, of course, me. I'm the midget in the middle. Anyhow, but we talked to people up there. There's one lady, an old black lady, lived in a trailer on a hillside. She said her window, she went out, heard a noise outside of her trailer, which was on the edge of a hillside. And she saw something looking in her window. That window is 9 feet off the ground.
Okay, we had a question. We had a question there. We'll I have you answer it real quick, and then we'll jump over to Ron here real quick. Okay. Did the one you saw, I guess, at Crescent Heights near the power line, is that what you're talking about? So did it look like
No, that's the one where the police were.
Okay, did it look like anything like Patty is what Tony's wanting to know?
Yeah, it did, but much bigger. And it wasn't, and I don't think it was a female. I think it was a male, big male. Because I didn't see any breast or anything like that, which would, like Patty had. You get to actually see Patty's breast, okay, in the Gimlin film. So I don't think it was a female. I think it was a big male. And like I said, and it was very, I mean, it was almost no neck on this thing. Its shoulders were wider than my SUV. I mean, it was that big, that massive. It could have ripped my arms and legs off and flossed. Oh, the other thing I want to tell you about it, when it opened its mouth a bit. Now, these, we have canines and we have molars, right? Because we're omnivores. Okay, as human beings. This thing also had canines and molars like we do. So obviously, to me, people might ask the question, do they eat meat or do they eat vegetable matter? I think they can eat both. Okay.
All right, Ron, we see you got your situation fixed there. So
yes, finally.
I know you haven't been on. You haven't been on the podcast yet. I do want to get you on here soon. Looks like if you can, I'd like to get you in July. I got some openings in July.
Okay.
But yeah, Tammy's been on. Bill's been on. John just is now, tonight was supposed to be John's night, but John told me he couldn't make it. And then he got some stuff situated out, so he was able to make it. So instead of just, and with everybody else coming on, I just said, hey, we're just doing round table stuff. Keep doing that. But yeah, just tell us who you are, Ron. I guess normally what I do is like when a guest comes on, I ask them to tell the listeners who you are, not necessarily whether is Bigfoot related or not. Like just who is Ron Howes? I mean, then we'll go into some other stuff.
Can I answer that? Can I? No.
Go ahead, Bill.
He's my hemorrhoid.
Oh, that's not even right.
You know we love you, Ron.
Well, my name is Ron Howes. I got involved with this cryptid world whenever I was 13 years old, because living on a family farm, I'd be riding around on my dirt bike. Well, actually, it was a three-wheeler back in those days. If everybody remembers those fun things. I'm riding the fence line heading back to the woods late in the evening, and I was heading down over the hill, and there's an opening in the fence that goes into the woods, and I just decided to stop the bike because something didn't feel right. So I shut the bike off and I just sat there for a second, and it wasn't even 5-10 seconds. I heard something over there at the entrance, and that's obviously what made me stop. Saw a figure in the dark. It wasn't like dark, but it was like, just turning dark. And I could see this large figure in there standing and looking at me, and I could see its red eyes about 8 feet in the air, and it started growling at me. And, 13 years old, what are you going to think? It's time to get out of here. I had no idea at 13 years old what I was dealing with. So, headed back home, and I kept it to myself for a while. And then I just started talking to some people and, just telling the story. Everybody's like, yeah, it's just nothing. Or somebody had even said to me, oh, well, maybe you saw a hellhound. Maybe there was a gates of hell was open and it was guarding it. And I says, I don't know. This thing was standing 8 feet tall. I wasn't aware of any of that stuff except for, watching Ghostbusters and, you see the hellhounds, or if you watch all the other good movies back then, they give you depictions of things, but you really don't know that at that age. So it piqued my interest, and I just kept asking questions, kept on getting into more and more. And then, like the story John brought up about Crescent Heights, I heard about it on the news, and I got excited. I was like, oh my gosh, there's more stuff going on in this area other than what I seen. And I started just keep going more and more. It just, a lot of people believe that it creates a PTSD that they don't want to go back into the woods. Mine, I've thrived to go back to the woods because I want to know what I saw. And everybody else has had their full on recognition of what this is. I didn't. So I want to have my full on confirmation, broad daylight, dark, whatever it may be. I do believe what John also said about they will allow you to see them when they want you to. And I think that maybe that point at 13, it allowed me to see what I did see to get me interested in this. And it's just grown ever since. So what I'm doing now is, as all of you know, I turned my interest into something very important. And it started off as a joke, and Les loves telling this story.
Well, let me tell that. Let me tell that first.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, because now it makes even better sense, because you were on a three-wheeler when you had your sighting. So that's like, it just morphed into your adulthood, passion or
mind you, I've always had an interest in motorcycles. So we'll go with that.
Bill, should I say passion or should I fetish? What should I say?
Fetish.
Okay. But anyway,
I knew you would use that word, Bill.
All right. Okay, folks. Here's what I wanted to say about Ron, and I like to tell this every time that Ron and I are together at an event or something. It was 3, maybe 4 years ago.
It was about 3 years ago. It was 2022.
Yeah. I was at Patsy Hillman Park during one of Bob Schultz and Fred Saluga's events, and we're all outside, and here all of a sudden we hear this motorcycle, we hear this Harley come up the road, and I looked over, and here's this crazy man on a Harley with a Bigfoot outfit on, and I'm like, I got to meet this guy. I got to meet this guy. So we ended up talking, and we got to know each other a little better when you came to what's it, Morel. When you come down to Morel, we talked.
Oh,
we
yeah,
went there
yeah.
and hung out, and we become friends and talked about certain things. And then you got into what you're about to tell us, and I've supported it each and every time. You know that you're somewhere and talking about this cause of yours. You know,
I think we all have.
Yeah,
we all felt
Yeah.
on it.
Well,
And so,
if
folks-
it wasn't for every one of yous and beyond, like there are so many of yous that have grabbed onto me and like pulled me into this world so deep. I absolutely love yous all for it. This is another part of what I talk about.
I'm telling you right now, the only reason we pulled you into this rabbit hole, we're tired of just spinning down the hole ourselves. We had to bring a friend along.
Oh, well, that's okay.
That's true.
Well, folks,
you know,
I want Ron to tell you first what his cause is, and then I want to tell you what another thing that happened after you brought this cause forward, and I laugh every time I think about it. But so go ahead, Ron. Tell everybody what you do.
To exaggerate on the story there about Les hearing me come up into this place at Hillman Park, and I pulled my bike over off to the side, and I literally stopped the show. Like speakers lost their crowd, and everybody was crowding around me to get pictures and like, oh wow, like check this guy out. And I just did
Hellman.
Yes,
Patsy Hellman.
Yep.
I was
must
there.
Be something. It must be something in the water over there. But
I was there when that happened. It was awesome.
And the thing that really hit me that day is the smiles on people's faces.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The one thing that really stands out in my mind, and this is what's going to lead me into what I'm doing now. There was a family that came over to get pictures with me, and one particular one, I should say. This little girl, it was her birthday that day. And they brought her to the Bigfoot show because her birthday wish was to meet Bigfoot. And it just so happens I show up that day for the first time ever doing what I was doing that day. Because, it was originally just for something fun to do. And, I'm that goofy person that will just do whatever to make people laugh. And when the mother came over and told me, you just made my daughter's day, I'm crying. First of all, I'm sweating in my suit, but I started crying inside my suit. I was so touched by that. And so it continues further from that. And I used to be a vice commander of a Legion. I was the president of the Riders. Of course, that's what you all saw me wearing that day was my Rider's vest. And it's kind of funny because I was putting this together and I was like, okay, I'm going to put my vest on. I'm going to put my helmet on and goggles. And I was like, well, my pipes are going to melt my costume. So I put the chaps on. So guess what happened? Biker Bigfoot was born. So after this event, I started getting around and talking to people about stuff. And, I've never lost my interest in Bigfoot, no matter what people say. And I'll talk about that further as well. Being in the Legion, you will go to funerals for the fallen military members. In 1 year, I had 4 funerals for suicide. What leads people to suicide is that they have a problem with PTSD. And some people take that way out. And obviously that's not the answer, because if you just wait one more day, the sun will shine tomorrow. You just think about that, you just give that one more chance and don't do what you're thinking about doing. It started making me think, and being the fact that I was in these commands at this Legion, and I also was the assistant director for Region 1, which I had command over 20 different legions. I got to know a lot of people, and it started making me think, and I'm like, I could use these positions that I have to do an even bigger cause, not just helping the veterans in the Legion, but also helping the veterans that are faced with these issues. So it originally started out that my cause was to help veterans with PTSD and suicide prevention. So the more and more I got into this, so now we'll jump over to the next part of it. I had showed up at Morel one day, and of course, Les had mentioned that we were talking there. Fred Saluga had asked me to go ahead and come up and talk about my cause, and that was really one of my first speeches, just telling my story. And Les and I had been talking and stuff like that, and then this post comes up on Facebook, and I have never been to many of not one event except for Fayette County Bigfoot Researchers Organization's events, because I had no idea that any of this stuff existed. I was always looking for help to help me understand this, or try to reach out, because I've seen the TV shows. I didn't know that the organizations like that existed. So when I got to do that, and then Les seen me and he heard about my cause, and then I saw that they were having a event down in Sutton, West Virginia, I was like, oh yeah, I'd like to go to that. So, I pressed going, So what happens? I get a message from Les. You want to hit it from here?
Yeah, I seen that he was going to come down, and I was really impressed with the work he's been doing, and really his cause is a great cause. And I sent him a message that said, hey, would you like to come down and speak about your cause? He's like, yeah, I'd do that. I said, okay.
I was more excited than that.
Yeah. Well, but this was after the second. So that was that for I think a couple weeks, and
yeah,
they finally finalized that Jeff Meldrum was coming, and they asked me to introduce Jeff, and I was like, no, I got something better. And they're like, what's that? And I was like, I got a friend. It's because this family's a real patriotic family, and I knew that they would, this would be great. So I messaged Ron and said, hey, are you polishing up on your speech skills? He's like, why? And I was like, because I want you to introduce Jeff Meldrum. And he's like, yeah, cool. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I was like, but I also want you to talk before you do that. And, so he was like, oh. I said, I want you to do your speech in front of, before Jeff's, because there was a banquet the day before the actual festival. So I said, I want you to do your talk that night as well. So he did. He come in, and I believe there was 350 some people that was actually in the room. It was like 345 or 355, something like that.
Yeah, it was in the high numbers.
Yeah, it was a full. The ballroom was packed, and he comes up there and he stands at the podium and he starts in and talking about everything that he has experienced with the military, and how he got to the point where he's at, and how he got into the Bigfoot stuff, and how he got into, believe in yourself. And I'm sitting at the table beside him, and Jeff's on the other side of him. And I look out, and there are people just crying. I mean, and guys are like, you could tell there's older veterans there. They're like nodding their head. They knew what, he's talking about. And many people just crying. So he gets done, and as he walks away or stands aside, Jeff's coming up, and Jeff looks at me and goes, that's a hard show to follow right there. And Jeff says something to him, and Ron is so nervous to meet Jeff. He looks at him and goes, thanks, Frank. And Jeff just looks at him and says, you're welcome. But people, and you had several people come up to you that evening and talk to you. I do that. They pulled you aside, and
Yeah, there was like 5 different people that came up, and a couple actually asked me to the bar and to sit down and discuss some of their issues. And it's that was the really big opener for me. And I really thank you so much for that, because it started my journey in this world. And I cannot be more blessed. I absolutely love being part of this world that we're all in with the cryptids, and to be able to share my story, and to just be involved in this period. It's just a wonderful journey. I know this mission came upon my heart one day, and that's why I started it. And I know it's God talking to me. To step back a little bit, when I went to the service, I'm an Air Force veteran. And when I was in basic training, I went on a 2-mile PT run, and I finished the run. But at the end of it, they called us to attention, and I was like further back in the group. I wasn't a very good runner, but I went because I wanted to get in shape and I wanted to make a new career for myself and serve my country. And they called us to attention, and down I went. I suffered from a heat stroke, and I actually died for 5.5 minutes. And when I woke up, my world changed. Number one, I shouldn't be here. And I know, other than the doctors and nurses working on me, I know God was the one that saved me because he had a purpose for me. And I strongly believe what I'm doing today is that purpose. But I tell you, when Les brought me into that, and I have been opening people's eyes ever since. It's the following year, I got myself tied into 11 different events in 4 different states.
Yeah.
And, to be able to do that.
No, wait a minute.
Oh, come on, Bill.
Wait a minute. Just 4? I thought there were 6.
Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, and Virginia.
Hey, Bill.
Yes.
It's that fish story, you know how they always grow.
Yeah. Okay.
No, we love you.
Let me add something to Ron's story here. He's saying he did those different events.
Yeah.
I contacted Ron for my first event I put on up here, the Penn Ohio Paranormal Conference. It says, Ron, I need
he tricked me.
Yes, I did. I need you to come up and give an award to a fellow veteran up here that has worked with the vet since he got out of Nam. The thing is, I told that veteran the same thing. So I had them both come up on the stage. I gave them both certificates of appreciation for what they're doing, because I'm a veteran too. And Ron touched my heart with what he's doing there. He really did. And my buddy Vince, he's worked with the veterans, his whole life. So, both of these guys I love. I really do. They mean the world to me. And Ron, don't start crying because I said that.
Can I say something? If you don't mind, I'd like to say something too about that. When I first met Ron, I met him down in Cheat Lake, the fire company, when you were hosting down there, Les, and stuff.
Right.
And I lost my best friend in Vietnam. He got blown to pieces. I'm a lot older than all you here, but the thing is, when I remember when the veterans came home, and how the American people in general looked down upon them. Okay. Yeah. All the protesting against some stuff. I was a protester, not of the veterans, but of the politicians, because we won most of the battles, but we lost the war due to politics. But because I lost my best friend there, okay, and what I saw doing to other people with the PTSD, the Agent Orange thing, I was talking to Ron earlier today about that. I have a friend that's in charge of the Agent Orange thing for veterans and stuff. It touched my heart when I met him down there and listened to him talk. And it's not just about the veterans. When you have PTSD, you can get that from anything.
Yeah. Well, that's why I expanded.
Right. And those we're all in the paranormal field, okay?
Yeah.
And like I said, I've been on thousands of cases. But the thing is, when you go to people who they're frustrated because they don't know who they can talk to. They want to tell what they saw. They want to have some type of form of closure and stuff. But it affects you the rest of your life. Okay? Some people don't even go in the woods anymore because of what they saw. Or they won't go out at night because of what they saw. Okay? But so they're suffering from PTSD. It's a different type, but nonetheless, it's the same principle. So
exactly, because that happened to me after my sighting. I was debating about ever going back into the woods.
Right. And the thing is, when you tell people about this stuff, the best I could ever do when I've done an investigation for somebody I believe actually saw something, the only closure I can give them, and I say to them, is this: I believe you. That's all you can give them.
Yeah.
I believe you.
Well, that's the
But
best
they
thing
need
to do is to
ongoing-
believe them. Because,
Right.
and
But
this
the
is
thing-
what I talk about. Like, don't take people's beliefs away from them and downgrade
Right.
them. Because I spent a lot of my life listening to people, oh, that's not real. You're stupid for believing in that. Hey, don't knock people's beliefs. You can't do that.
Hey, Bill, you see that on the screen?
I
I
can't
see
read
that.
it.
Can you get PTSD, Bill, from talking to you?
Oh,
Griff, you should know that's a definitely yes. Just ask Debbie Craigie.
Yeah, right there, right there. There it is. She says yes.
Got you, Bill.
But yes.
All right. Yep. It's
all
a
I'm
great thing
going
you
to
do,
say
Ron.
is, Ron, you do an awesome job with what you're doing, and
Yes,
you are very appreciative. You know,
Absolutely.
From everybody. You know,
Yeah.
you got a big support group behind you.
I do what's in my heart, Bill.
Yep.
And I don't know if you've seen the comment come up there, Ron. It was from Laurel. She says, "We love you, Ron."
Love you too.
Right there.
I absolutely love them people down there. They have been so great to me and everybody else. They're just wonderful people down there. They're doing a great job with that festival. I'm so thankful for being part of everybody that has brought me through in this. I mean, you know, I'm the new guy here. I've only been in this for 2 years, and I have pushed along so far. And I'm very grateful for everybody's acceptance. I mean, I know that there's a cause behind what I'm doing. I mean, I you know, going back to the whole biker Bigfoot thing, you know, people love that I come rolling in on this bike dressed up as Bigfoot. And, you know, from what I know of, that I'm the only one that does this. But if I'm not, I'm the only one that has a cause behind what I'm doing. I don't know if, you know, Bill, you probably remember seeing my vest. I have it plastered on me now. You know, I even have a tattoo on my arm that says "Believe in yourself," because that way I can look at it to remind myself, because I still doubt myself. You know, just because I'm out there speaking about this doesn't mean I have the answers. I'm struggling with things myself. And that's where it hits home for me to be able to get out there and help everybody.
And I think sorry, I think that's most of us. I mean, we all struggle with certain things, and we all struggle with daily life. You know, even as investigators, we struggle with the cases that we work. You know, there are some times that we don't know the answers.
Yeah.
But sometimes, just like here recently, I talked to a gentleman, and he when I got there, he's like, "You want to go here and look at this, look at that, look at this?" And I'm like, "No, I do not." He said, "Why?" I was like, "Because I don't need to. You know, I believe what you're telling me. You know, I just want you to sit down and talk to me. You know, start out where it started, or begin where it started, and just go as long as you want." And he looked at me and said, "You know, this is great that you're actually just sitting here listening to me." And as investigators, that's why I don't a lot of times consider myself a researcher, because I don't have a place that I go all the time to do my research. If I had a particular, specific place to go, then I would say I'm more of a researcher. But I like to listen to people's stories. I like to look into those stories. I like to listen, you know, and some of the areas, and I'll look into stuff. But my background into this field started in the paranormal side, not a Bigfoot, but in paranormal activity that I experienced as a kid. So I kind of tend to use some of that stuff that I've learned doing paranormal investigations and talking to people in the Bigfoot world. And sometimes people, a lot of times people just are very appreciative just to have you sit and listen to them, to get it off their chest. Like I don't know if you all seen the post from last night. Yeah, I talked to a gentleman. I got Laurel. Actually, he contacted Laurel at the museum. He didn't know how to contact me, because he knew who I was, and his sister had bought him the book that I've put out, and he contacted me after she got a hold of, or he talked to Laurel, and he after 60 years, he decided to come forward about what he'd seen. And he's like, it's just a short one. He said, and it's not great. I was like, every one of these sightings are important. It don't matter if it's
60
short.
years he held on to that?
60 years.
Wow.
And he's like, it's just short. And I said, well, go ahead, tell me. Tell me. And well, it ended up that little short sighting, which probably would have took him 3 to 5 minutes of him just tell me, led into a discussion of other things. How his feelings have changed and how he reacted to it and how his family reacted to things that went on. It led into like an hour and like 15 or hour, 20 minute just talk. And the only thing that he saw was he was a kid, probably, I think he said 12 or 13 years old. He was coming back from the woods. There was a stream that come into his property. He's following this stream, and he comes up and he thinks there's a stump on the side of this bank. But he said, but the only thing is, I had the weirdest feeling that feel like I'm being watched. And that's when this stump stands up, turns away from him, walks up over the bank and down the other side. And that's it. That's all the experience he had. And he's like, I know it's not much. I was like, yeah, but that's enough. That's great. You had a sighting, and I believe you had that sighting because I really liked those type of sightings. I really like it short, sweet, to the point, because
big time.
This guy's not adding any fluff to it. He's not saying, oh, it roared at me, with some of the, a lot of these stories that happen, he's not adding this dramatic flair to it. This is all I had. He's like, I'm 70 years old. This is what happened. And that's it. So, yeah. And he, like I said, that few minute talk turned into a conversation and built a rapport between the both of us. And then his wife, I started talking to his wife about things she they were experienced possibly at a building they had in Tennessee. It went from Bigfoot to paranormal stuff. And I enjoy that. I just think that's the coolest thing ever, to just listen to people. And
that's the thing. Some of these reports I get too, Les, they're it's like, wow. And it's short, sweet, to the point, exactly what they saw. And it makes you feel good inside that they're opening up to you and letting you know. And something wait a minute, John. Wait a minute. And one of the things I said before, and I say this a lot anyhow, if you want to be one of the best researchers out there, become a Les Odell. And I'm not lying, because Les, and I'm right about this, you do the total research of the whole area, the history of anything happening in the area, from the libraries, to the internet, to going in person, talking to the people, and searching the area.
And you know what, Bill?
And you don't say you're a researcher, but you're one of the best out there.
And you know what, Bill? I have a sidekick. I will say I have a compatriot that's right here with us that is the same way. Tammy is, to me, one of the best I've worked with, in here in West Virginia. She's the same as I am. She looks into, the accounts in the area. She talks to people. She's not one to jump, to that, oh yeah, it's Bigfoot. She will debunk, and until she says, I can't figure it out.
I love you, Tammy. Just for
Thank you, Les.
No, seriously. You cannot jump right to it's a Bigfoot out there. That's awesome. I love
Tammy,
that about her.
Yes.
Tammy, you want I know you don't want to give away the location, because it's, a sense of not the property that is near, but the property you're on. You don't want to reveal it.
Sorry about
can you tell us what? That's okay. You want to tell us what you've been looking into here recently?
Sure. It's been going on off and on for a while, but last month into this month, I've been getting reports of wood knocks, howls occasionally. I have been up for several nights at a time, and I have heard the howls early in the morning. From one mountainside, I've heard a howl. And then on the side I was on, I heard a response back. I've heard the wood knocks myself. It's, I wish I could get in and really get into the woods in that area, but I kind of have a small problem and I can't, but I'm working on it. I've heard rock clacking up there. But Les gave me a little bit of an insight of maybe what was going on with that. So I haven't confirmed or debunked it yet, but I did hear rock clacking. And I'm planning on heading back up there probably in a couple more weeks. I think there's more going on. But what really spooks me is when the night goes absolutely quiet up there, because there's 2 packs of coyotes, and when I don't hear them or hear the owls or the night sounds, that weirds me out.
Yeah. Yeah. When it's not there, that's saying something.
But yeah, if I could just get rid of that barrier in front of me and really get in there to investigate, I would be a lot happier.
Yeah. I when you finally do get that barrier taken away, I do want to come with you for sure.
Oh, definitely. Maybe several of us.
Yeah, that'd be
Tammy,
great.
just one thing when you go with Les. Don't
What's
end up in the hospital the next day.
Wait,
Shoot.
Les isn't the one that goes to the hospital the next day.
But I did.
Hey,
You like
John,
taking
I had a
helicopter
question
rides.
for you.
Yeah, what is Tammy?
The sighting he had up around Cooper's Rocks, what year was that?
Last summer, 2024, early 2024. Or I'm sorry, 23.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
That was
Tammy's
halfway
area.
up that long grade. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
half the grade. It was on the right-hand side of the road going up that grade. I had to go outside and charge my phone up. It was dying. But yeah, so, but I want to, can I say something here real quick? You know, and
Yeah.
getting back, I'm going to get back, in a minute. But first of all, I want to say something that Ron said. And what you said too, Les, and Ron, or Dan, or Bill, but here's the thing. Once you see something like this, your life's changed forever. Your whole perspective on reality's changed forever. You're never the same again. And what's upsetting to me, and I understand why, is when you try to tell people this, they look at you with derision because they've never seen anything. Okay. But it's our duty as investigators and researchers to try to bring into the light the facts. And that's why I like you, Les, and Bill, and Ron, and you, Tammy, too, because you bring the facts into it. And that's what's important. We get so much nonsense on Facebook from these other erstwhile groups that you can't sort. I mean, you talk about rabbit holes. We're talking about Grand Canyon and stuff. So we try to keep it real, and I really appreciate and respect them.
You know, that's the thing. As researchers, we got to be doing our due diligence,
Right.
debunking whatever. And when Les says Tammy's like him, that's saying something, because that's awesome. Because I try to live up to him on that.
Yeah, I'm the quiet one.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she is. Here's how quiet she is, just to give you an idea. It is kind of a funny story. Her and I went to Fayette County, West Virginia, to look into the Billy Humphrey's case. We were contacted. I was contacted, and Tammy went with me. And I'm talking to Billy, and I'm looking around, and I'm videoing all this as we're doing this. And I put it on YouTube, because Billy said, "Yeah, put it on YouTube. I don't mind." I don't know how many people contacted me. It's like, "There's one walking behind you in the woods. Can you see that at this point in the video?" And I'm like, "No, that's Tammy just creeping around looking at stuff. She's just out there checking everything out." And they're like, "Oh, there's one behind you." I'm like, "Nope, that's just my friend Tammy."
I was following a trail of sapling tree breaks and bendovers.
Yeah.
To see how far they would go.
Yeah. Yeah, we followed a few of them, and that was pretty cool because we started noticing when you would follow one, there would be another, like a little break. Just small, just not big trees, just these small saplings, and then there would be another one. It'd point in a different direction, and then we'd follow it, and there'd be another one. And I'm not talking 10, 15 feet apart. We're talking, 25, 30 yards through the woods. We'd find another one and point, and every time it'd lead to, I bet you that's Mason. Every time it'd lead to another bend. Hold on for a minute. All right, I'm gonna mute for a minute and see what he wants.
We did that at Salt Fork. We found it where these tops were eaten off, Tammy. Up Devil's Knob. And that was weird. They were all eaten off at the same level, about 5.5 feet high. So we never, there's my boy Mason. Mason.
Hey, Bill.
That's my boy there.
You remember Ron?
Yeah.
Hi, buddy.
Dressed up as Bigfoot?
Yeah.
And Tammy.
Yeah.
And this is our friend John right there.
Okay.
Howdy.
John, do you remember him from the event? He was dressed up like a little spaceship alien.
I do remember him very well. Yes, I took a picture with him and took a picture of him.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Debbie Preggy and I, who's in the audience, me and her has got out and done a lot of researching and together, and she just starts going off her own little way, and then I hear, "Come look at this," and she finds stuff. She's awesome when we're out there, and we found a lot of print. We found a bunch of different stuff out there. And some of it we can't say what it was. The one area Debbie and I were researching pretty heavy, I got nailed with infrasound. And she's right away on the phone calling someone and say, "Hey, Bill's acting this way. He just got nailed with infrasound. You guys get out of there because it's trying to get Bill away from you." Which we weren't really close together, but we're in general area.
Have any of you had the pleasure of seeing a hand print in the ground? Like they were digging for something and left the mark like a hand in the ground?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
I have.
Yes.
I
didn't
that
see it
experience.
personally, but the kid showed me a picture of it at my one camp out at Salt Fork. And then
When I
he went
went
down
down
and casted it.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah.
wish I would have casted this, but when I went down to Virginia with Dan last year, I found one and I put my hand in it, and it was, and you know how big I am.
Huh?
The hand print was probably 3 times the size of my hand. And it just amazes me. It really does. Every time we find that evidence, it just amazes me every time.
Now I haven't found a handprint in mud or like you would a footprint, but I'm pretty sure I've told Tammy knows this story. I'm Ron. I don't remember if I've told you, but I'm pretty sure Bill knows it. A few years ago, I was in an area outside of Elkins, West Virginia. I went in there with a friend of mine, and it's basically his research area. And he took me in and told me about these certain areas, and we went up on this ridge. It's called Bickle's Knob. And if anybody's from West Virginia, they'll know that's like right outside of Elkins. It's like a high point, and there's a fire tower and everything up there. And well, we went up, and I had my van. This was when I had at the time when I had my van. I had it all set up, and you guys have seen it. And he was telling me stories, and we'd sit there and listen and stuff, and didn't really catch anything. And he went home, but before he went home, I had taken a rake and raked the ground around my van in case there would be in case something would come close and would leave a footprint or something. Well, I got up next day, nothing was there. So I was like, well, I was just going down the road here to another area that is called Otter Creek, or near Otter Creek. And as I'm going toward Otter Creek, there's a fire road that shoots off to the left. And I pulled over there, and I decided to just finish a little video I was doing, and I heard this knocking noise. And to this day, I can't say it was or wasn't an owl, or not an owl. I'm sorry, I was reading that comment. Woodpecker, a woodpecker, but it had a weird cadence to it. That's what I say. It like not, almost like Morse code. So I was like, that's just strange. So I decided I'm gonna walk up to the ridge and see what I can find. See if there's anything there, footprint related or anything like that might be around. So I start up the hill, and I come to this muddy spot, and there's footprints in it that I could discern that they're just boot prints, nothing else. I go a little further up the road, and this is where it gets, this is where people talk about some strange things that happen with some of this stuff. This was a strange thing that happened with me. I stopped, and you can see in the video, and I'm like, I don't know what that was. I didn't say what I heard, but what I heard was something walking. Like if I'm standing looking up the hill, and on this side it goes up pretty steep, and this is during the time of year there's no leaves on the ground or no leaves on the trees, and I could hear something walking. And I'm like, well, maybe it's squirrels. These squirrels, they make all kind of noise. A squirrel in the woods sounds like a rhino running through the woods. And it goes back down the hill. So I just ignored it. So I go all the way top of the hill. I have a look around at the ridge, up on the ridge line. Didn't find anything. Come back down to my van. I had my backpack on, and I decided, or I was like, I'm going to go to the back of the van, put it back in the van, and get out of here. Well, I walk to the back of the van and go to open the hatch. And I noticed there's handprints there that are on my window. One was not quite on the window. It was partially on the window and on the frame of the hatch on the almost to the left side, the driver's side of the vehicle. One was down near where the windshield wiper is. And then there, right in between them, there's a smudge mark. And it looked like there was that whatever touched my vehicle, it definitely left a handprint, but it looked like it had hair because it left these streaked marks around the prints. And the way they got there had to have been after the fact that I was there, because the road was nice and dusty. There's a layer of dust on the car for sure, but these were whatever it was touched this vehicle had to have some kind of moisture to it, because it almost left like a muddy residue. And I still to this day don't know what left those handprints, but I was contacted, and Doug Hycheck found them interesting, and he asked if he could have them for his records, and I did send them to him, but I never heard anything back from him, because he was looking into that Alba Vernex, the greasy film, but I told him this wasn't greasy, this was like just mud. And I really wanted to get those prints pulled from that window. So I was like, I'm going to get home as quick as I possibly can, because I didn't have anything with me to do it. And as I'm on my way home, what happens? I hit a rainstorm, and it washed the majority of it off. And by the time I got here at the house, and there was just a little tiny bit, that you could barely make out. And I tried to pull them off, and they didn't come off. So to this day, like I said, I still don't know where they come from. And it's kind of creepy, but, to think, oh, I couldn't see this thing walking, if that's what it really was, or the fact that some weirdo was looking in my van. So I don't know which one it is, but it's both in my opinion, pretty creepy though.
I wanted to say something about you talk about the handprints and the footprints. One of the things around this area I noticed is that uh, sometimes the Bigfoot, I believe Bigfoot's still in this area, okay? But I found when I walked through creek beds around here too. And sometimes I found footprints that are big footprints that are smudged, like when they come up out of the water into the embankment and stuff, but pretty
Mhm.
high up. So that's got a big step. My opinion is they use a lot of they're smart. Like I said, they're not animals. They're smart enough that they can mask their tracks by walking through like creek beds and then stepping out high enough onto the embankment. You can't see, what I mean? You really need to be looking for this stuff. Now, as far as the handprints, I've heard of people where they had knuckle prints in the ground. I've never seen
Mhm.
those myself. The only
Yeah.
thing I've ever found as far as proof, and I've looked, believe me, I found two sets of hair samples, and I made plaster cast. Okay. Now the hair samples, as I told you earlier, they came back twice. This is back in early 90s, 90, 91, 92. They didn't have the DNA technology they do nowadays, but both times they came back from the university saying unknown hominid, and the hair samples were transparent. Okay, so that's the only evidence but I look for like DNA, I look for scat, you know, not just tracks or photos. I mean, it's really hard to get evidence in here to prove to the established scientific community what we see because they laugh at us. We're called pseudoscientists, okay? So trying to like knuckle prints, that's a big thing here because like so there's not many people find those, okay? But that would give you can get dermal ridges from that too, like you said, Les, on your windshield. If you could have got those,
Mhm.
got dermal ridges, that could have told us a lot about the creature as far as that goes, you know. And if there's smudge marks from like not just mud, but you can't use mud, of course, for that. But if there was smudge marks, say on a dry windshield, they did like this, you could get DNA off of that to determine what the DNA makeup is of these creatures. But the whole
Right.
point of this, as investigators and researchers, is to try to find adequate information that would the established scientific community would accept as genuine. And on top of that, I mean, we've all heard people talk about seeing Bigfoot and other types of cryptids and stuff, but you know, to the established scientific community, it's all hogwash and it's just talk. Okay, so we need proof, and now I'll tell you why we need proof. Not just prove they exist, but to prove that so we can protect them under the Endangered Species Act. Okay,
Yeah,
Yes.
we need to
yeah,
do that.
definitely. It's like that one show that those guys think that they need to kill one to have
That's
the
an
evidence.
that's in Oklahoma. They have a
Yeah. What
bounty,
is,
and I don't know if they revoked that. It was $1 million bounty, dead or alive.
That
Mhm.
was a senator that put that on.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I can't remember the name of the show. I think they were down in Georgia, but yeah, I understand what you're saying about that out there as well. There's
that
actually
killing
already forests
Bigfoot?
that are protected.
What's that, Tammy?
Sorry.
Was that killing Bigfoot? Something like that?
No, this
Yeah,
was a series for a while, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I have seen that about the killing Bigfoot. Yeah.
Let's get back to the handprint because Gwen should be coming on soon. We were all at Salt Fork last fall, and she was parked right
Yeah.
near
That.
me, and she was parked right up to the weeds. I was parked back from the weeds a little bit, and there was a thermal done of a Bigfoot standing at the back end of my
What are you doing?
Blazer. Then it went around the front of Gwen's, and Gwen wakes up, and all can she see is the torso through her windshield from her vehicle. And then that they went out on one of the gravel roads, come back, but the oil of the hand, it actually touched the tailgate of her Ford. And she had nothing to get the print off of there till she got home. Now, that's a 6-hour drive home. And she's getting close to home, She actually got the print. Now I got big hands myself, and my hand can fit right inside that print, and that it was awesome, you know. And I asked the lady that did the thermal, you know, did you record it? She says it's a brand new thermal. I didn't know how to do it. I went, oh no. But yeah, so yes, it was killing Bigfoot.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
when you go out into the woods, you should take cotton swabs and some plastic sealed bags so you can seal it and try to get DNA evidence. That
Well,
we can,
Uh,
that's what we need to
well,
get.
well, there's where your mistake is, John. For one thing,
yeah.
you don't use plastic.
Nope.
No,
Plastic
I
would
understand that.
yeah.
I meant to say a Pyrex dish is what I would get. A Pyrex dish.
Yeah,
Pyrex dish or a paper bag, then you
right.
can put it in a plastic bag.
Yeah,
Right.
because the plastic bag would cause moisture to the condensation, which leads to bacterial growth, which actually yeah, with the right word, will actually
Gotcha.
mess up the DNA. So yeah, you don't
You're
want to
right.
use plastic bags.
Right. And I'm making up a DNA type kit now. Even though with my sighting, I don't believe we need DNA because I know they're real. Okay.
Well, we know that you believe it, but we need to prove it to
Yeah,
the scientists.
I know a lot of others, but we got Darby Orcott, who has got the scientific and other fields all involved now from different colleges and everything, getting involved, and they're going to. It's they actually getting the scientists to work with us, and I think it's awesome. Um, we got to, you know. That I agree with. And he was at an Ohio Bigfoot conference. I was set up there, but I ended up getting sick over the weekend. And I'm still thinking this one gentleman, yeah, who is an author that actually can sit at my table and sell his book. And I told him he could. And he actually worked my table for me because I was sick. And because I couldn't do it. And Darby walked past my table 4 times and I couldn't even talk to him. And I wanted to talk to him and find out more how everything's going to work that way. But I'm making a trip to a couple other events that he's going to be at so I can get in there and talk to him. But I myself, yeah, I'm going to make up a DNA kit and get that and go that route. And I'll be turning it into Darby. But I'm not so big on that. I'm more big on see what they're doing, why they're doing, how they're doing it, and what's the reason behind it all. And Les, you've heard me say that how many times? Because, well, I can't remember. Someone put up, hey, it's not a Bigfoot, it's a bear.
Yeah.
Well, my sighting was 15 feet away from me, and I know bears, and that sure in the hell wasn't a bear. I don't care. It sure in the hell wasn't. And actually, we trademarked a new shirt that we're going to be selling for everybody in the Bigfoot world. Got a picture of a Bigfoot on it and it says, it's just a bear.
Right.
Come on now.
Danny R there, he put it, I mean, I'm pretty sure probably me and Tammy are only the ones that know where this is at because everybody else is from the Pennsylvania, Ohio area. Have you looked in Kanawha State Forest? I guarantee there are Bigfoot there. I haven't got to, I mean, one time I went with a local researcher and we walked around and I talked to him about his sighting there, Danny. He had a sighting. Oh, I can't remember if it was like the late 90s, early 2000s, or maybe it might have been in the 90s. I can't remember for sure. He had a sighting across the valley of what he believes was a family unit or group, a male, female, and a young one. But yeah, there's been several different sightings come from that area, even though it's not a very big spot, and it's surrounded by a lot of cities, popular. I can't get the right words out, but it seems like you wouldn't be a spot, but there are several sightings that come from here. Tony says I camp at Kanawha State Forest, and great stories come out of there. Yes, they do. It seems to be a pretty hot spot, and one of the most well-known West Virginia, I guess, and well, he's kind of from both West Virginia and Ohio researchers. Russ Jones, that's one of his areas that he goes to. And my friends Ron Lanham and Joe Purdue, that's their research area. I
thought that was.
They hit that area pretty hard. So
now I love what Debbie said, because she was with us when I saw mine. She was looking the other side because we were having little stones or nut tossed up from us from the left side. And that sucker was on the right side, 15 feet away from me. So, yeah, Debbie knows. And she knows that I'm not afraid of anything.
Hey, Bill.
That's where Ron came involved.
Hey, Bill.
Yes, sir.
This is a family show. We can't talk about little stones and nuts.
Why not?
We have a woman. We have a lady present in the room, Ron, Bill.
Blame Ron. Blame Ron. Ron texted me to say it.
No, I didn't.
Yes,
don't believe that man. No.
But
did we lose John? Where'd he go? There he is.
There he is. John keeps flipping around.
I'm here.
Well, he was here. He just shut himself off. But no, seriously,
Presto changeo.
Bob, I'm going to say this. You're right about a lot of that. But there's the thing. When you're getting these scientists all going to work together toward the common cause of this research, I think we stand a chance. And it's not follow the money so much as follow the research.
That's right.
I'm going to see if I can figure out what happened to John.
He hung himself up.
He got stuck in the seatbelt getting back out of the car.
I think he did.
But that's the thing, Debbie, I sure might be. I'm about ready. We get Les to take a day off. You see that, Les?
Yeah. I'm off
John disappeared into a portal.
No, I came out to John's car to help him get reconnected.
Oh, he's on Bluetooth. That's why he's talking to me.
I got my earbuds in. I'm out here to his car.
I agree right here with Mothman 46. What good is all the scientific research that the scientists refuse to share?
That's where Darby's working to share that stuff. And oh, by the way, and I got to agree with Debbie. She does talk like a trucker.
You were already in. Go to Google.
Yeah. Ohio How come from that direction, even with the local dogs barking. And I don't want to say much, but follow Davis Creek up 2 miles. Danny, are you talking about the not the Ohio How, but the Trent vocalizations out of Bruno, West Virginia? Is that what you're talking about? Which sound so much. I don't know if you've ever heard them, Bill. Sound, I mean, just like the Ohio How. If you look it up on YouTube, look up the Trent vocalizations. It's the same noise, same howl. There's dogs in the background. The lady was
Trent, Trent.
Yeah, Trent vocalizations.
Okay, I'm going to do that. And with all honesty, Tammy, you'll get a kick out of this. I went to Salt Fork, that first camp out I went to for Soapy. I was not planning on seeing a Bigfoot, even though everyone goes there to see a Bigfoot. There's too many people go there. I get there. Debbie finally shows up. Mike Bennett shows up. And Mike says, hey, you guys want to go ride around, check out some of the areas and see what we can find? Sure. So Debbie and I go with them. We come back to the group camp. We're BSing a little bit. And Mike says, let's take like 90 paces down the Buckeye Trail, stop, look around, listen, see what we can see. Just getting dark. No problem. I just want to hear the Ohio how. I don't care. I want to hear it. We did 390 paces, and Deb was getting scared because of the stuff getting tossed at us. She said she didn't want to go no farther. Okay, no problem. Give me that little scope of yours. I'll go forward. Stay with Mike. He has a gun on him. If you're that scared, you'll be safe. Well, he turned around. I get up 90 paces. I kneel down. I start playing with the scope, and out of the corner of my right eye, that's when I saw just a little movement, and I turned and looked, and there it was. It was kneeled down, leaning in, looking at me.
When you least expect it.
Yes, and that used to be my motto in the old days. When you least expect it, because I'm coming for it. Boom. And let's cut it out. Quit pushing me around. My big dog decides to push me around. But anyhow, so Debbie didn't get to see it because you're there, John.
You're there.
John, can you hear us? Hello.
Yeah, we got him back.
All right.
No, you just got scared, Debbie.
Hello?
Hello, John.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Me? Okay.
Did you hear the banjos, John?
Hey,
Bill, come on. You know what I mean?
Hey, Bill, Gwen just messaged and said that she won't be able to make it. She got called out on a.
Tammy, can you hear me?
I laid transport again.
My mic is muted.
But anyhow, so that was my sighting. I'm running back. It's getting dark. It's inside the woods. It starts going down, and it just going down over the woods, disappearing as I'm running backwards, yelling, "Lights! Lights!" Mike shines his big spotlight. All right, I'm going to be nice, but I'm still going to say what Mike said. I said, "Did you see it? Did you see it?" He goes, "I saw Bigfoot's ass." What? That actually, I'm glad he did that. And Debbie can tell you because I was like scattered. I'm bouncing everywhere. And it kind of brought me back down a couple notches there. And I went, what? And he goes, yeah, I was running down over the hill. I saw the backside. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, so that, and that's where my PTSD started to come into play. And that's what Ron helped a lot with. So I did not get to hear the Ohio How. I got to see my Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. I didn't get the How till last year. We got the How.
I got one question for you, Bill.
Yes.
Did you see his butt for real?
I was not paying attention to the butt, man. I was panicking, running backwards. I was 62 years old, running backwards up a trail, and I didn't fall down.
Oh.
That tells you something.
I just wondering if it's anything comparable to the Mothman's butt. You ever see the shiny hiney up there in Point Pleasant?
Yeah. No, it's not. It's hairy.
We got Danny keeps saying, let me put a couple up here. Well, the wrong one. Sorry. Oh, it keeps jumping. I'm sorry, folks. People are commenting. It jumps around. Says, I heard the exact same as Ohio about 3 a.m. So it was that in the Kanawha State Forest, Danny. And then here's another one. I guess I'll say at least one used to travel route in front of my back deck. We startled each other. I guess it didn't know I was sitting out there in the dark. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that would startle me.
Yeah, me too. That's pretty damn close, Danny.
Yeah, and then he puts on here, I live less than 2 miles from Kanawha State Forest. So,
Dude.
yeah.
Prime
Danny?
land, brother. Prime land. Ooh.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, for sure.
But,
there we got John back again. Or at least trying. Let's try.
Hello.
Oh, Bill. Bill, I don't.
Sorry. What's going on here?
You have horrible signal.
I think Ron's doing that to you.
No, he's sitting in his car in my driveway, and because his phone was dying, I told him to come back in and plug his phone in, but
he's bullheaded. I know, John. But you know, but the thing is, my sighting, it definitely was not a damn bear.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you hear that so many times. You know, people try to pass it off as a bear, or you know, people try to dismiss people's sightings as a bear, and when you talk to some of these people, like yourself and other people here in, you know, like here in West Virginia and you guys in Pennsylvania and stuff, people know what bears look like. I mean,
we lived in the woods. We know.
Yeah. And
bears got the ears on top. You know, those little pointed ears of theirs. Yeah.
And one of the first things when I interview somebody, one of the first, you know, I go through. Let me see if I got one right here somewhere. This is my interview form. This is what I set. Well, here we get it.
Yeah.
It's how many pages? 3 or 4 pages? 4 pages long. And I don't.
What the hell? You want them to write a book?
Oh yeah. But I don't come out directly, because I've come to realize when you look at somebody and say, "Did you see a bear?" They will lock up in a heartbeat.
Yes.
In a heartbeat. So I kind of get around it in a way just by asking, like, describe the animal. What did it look like? What was the proportion of the legs? What was the proportion of the arms? What did the body shape look like? And pretty much everybody that's seen these things will tell you they have a wide shoulders. Well, bears don't have wide shoulders. They have a sloping.
Yeah.
You know, because they don't have, I guess, you don't have that normal collarbone structure and stuff like that. I don't know all the terminology for it, but I'm sorry, I was reading, and that's how I kind of get it. Because sometimes when you mention bear to a witness, they'll get not offended, but they'll lock up. They just don't want to.
Yeah.
They just want.
They're not going to want to talk to you,
right?
And one thing I tell people, and taught some people, when you're taking a report from somebody, listen to them. Mm-hmm. Pay attention to what they're saying. Sometimes their stories are jumping here, there, all over, but they always come back to the right part of it.
Well,
it all feeds in together because it really affects them. Other ones can tell you step by step.
You want to come back in? I can plug you in charge there.
And that's the reason why. That's the reason why I do this forum a lot.
Yeah,
because the reason I do it, just when I first started interviews, start with the forum, is because I know usually these witnesses that if they're wanting to tell you their story, it's all just going crazy in their mind, and they're raring to tell you everything that happened because somebody's going to listen. Yep. So I'll start out with just the generic question, or not generic, it's informational questions. You know, what type of sighting? You know, that's the first question. What type of sighting? Roadside, residential, standing, nighttime. You know, just to calm that little bit, those nerves, I guess you said. Now, general information. When did it happen? What time? What month? it kind of backs them down. And then we'll go into like, the nearest town, water or nearest waterway, things like that.
Weather conditions, all that
Yeah.
stuff brings the people down and
Yeah.
have them thinking and have them calm down. And
then
that's the way to do it.
And then I go into the creature description. Tell me what the creature looked like first, and then I'll note all that, and I'll put it down on the paper, and then we'll go into, okay, what was your knowledge of Bigfoot prior to your sighting or your experience? And a lot of people are like, well, I didn't really have any. Or I've seen it on TV or something like that. So that's another thing I do. And then they start telling you their story, and I'll start picking out bits and pieces to fill in other parts of the report, and then ask them questions. And sometimes asking those questions, which is usually what I call a trigger question, will help jog their memory of something else, or some more details about what happened. And that's what happened last night. I've asked a few questions, and the guy's like, oh, I remember this now. I remember that. I forgot to mention this. And it's because I asked certain little questions, and it may have just been a random, vague question, but this gentleman remembered. So that's when you do an interview for me, and people that are getting into it, because I've had people ask me, what's some advice you can give to a newbie or somebody that's wanting to get into this? One, you definitely want to listen to your witness. I'm sorry. Some people will do this. Don't say, no, that's not what happened. Well, you weren't there.
Exactly.
You weren't there. Listen to what they say. Listen to what they say for sure. Build that rapport with them. Try to get the information out of them. Like I said, sometimes you got to say, wait a minute, let's back up a minute. But get that initial information. Get them calm. Get them, comfortable, and that helps out a lot. Yeah. Yes, Mothman. Don't lead the witness. Don't say, oh yeah, you might have seen this, or was this what you saw? Don't do that. Just listen to them. Let them describe.
Exactly.
Now, if they get to a point where they're trying to come up with the right words, give them options. Was it this? Was it this? Or they're like, oh, the collar. It's kind of you maybe say, well, was it more brownish? Was it more red? Was it more darker? That's fine, but don't say, yeah, maybe it was red, or something like it. Just don't do that.
No, you don't lead them. You let them describe it, but like you said, they get lost. Give them a couple options.
Right.
And that Bob, he tries to bring it all back for them and help cover the whole 9 yards. And the thing is, some of these researchers just want to write stuff out and say, hey, it's this, and that's bull.
I got John back in.
Okay. There he is.
There you
Hello.
go.
Uh-oh.
He's got something going on with his phone or something.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why my internet's been acting up today.
Well, you're fine. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. His phone's not hooked to it, or.
And that'll hold it for you.
Be like Brokeback Mountain and have him cuddle up next to you.
No, I'm in my bedroom, so we're not echoing each other's phones.
Yeah, he's froze up. So, what are your thoughts, Tammy? You've been sitting there, as you said, you're the quiet one, but yeah, we want to hear what you got to say. What's your methodology?
Well, foremost, I know Bigfoot is absolutely real, alive, and breathing. I know that for absolutely sure. Why do you do this to me?
Tammy, here's how I put it. When I seen my Bigfoot, I presume it was flesh and blood because that's what it resembled to me. Did it jump through a portal? It might have went down over the hill. I don't know. Did it say, "Hey,
Hello?
beam me up, Scotty"? There he is.
Back one.
I got abducted.
Yes. So, you know, you're saying it's a living, breathing being.
Have you heard her story, Bill?
No.
Tammy, if you want to share the whole thing, if not, just do cliff notes of it.
I'll hit on it real quick. My first sighting was back in 1964. And I didn't even know it was a sighting. I didn't even know what it was. I was 4 years old. And 64, 65, 66, in the spring, in the fall, this blonde creature would come up and sit in the laurel where I would play and would just sit there and just watch me. And it was awesome. It's even more awesome now that I know. But I wish I knew back then what I know now. We all missed out on an opportunity, but I was 4 years old. And then I got hollered at. And then I was forbidden to go to the woods, but that didn't stop me.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, she was hollered at by her dad, not the creature. Yeah.
But I'm going to have to listen to your story more in depth, Tammy. But I need to go. My wife needs me. Some of you don't know, she has several medical problems, and so I need to get out of here and go help her.
Well, Bill, we appreciate you coming. As always, man, we love you. You take care of her.
Thoughts and prayers, Bill.
Yeah.
Love you, Bill.
Hey, thanks, guys. Tammy, I'm going to be talking to you again soon. Believe me.
All right.
I want to hear your story big time.
Hope to see you on the 25th.
I don't know if I'm going to make that.
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to make it. But anyhow, everyone out there, be safe. Enjoy the weather while you can.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Bye, Bill.
Bye, Bill.
Hey, I'd like to apologize to everybody for the interruptions and stuff, and for also earlier when I jump around from the subject a lot. Bill would have told you when I was up indoor, I jump around quite a bit, and I had the headsets on, so I was talking kind of loud. Right now I don't have the headsets on, obviously, and stuff, but I just like to say a couple things here, if you don't mind. I mean, because I've been running my gums a lot of times, but when you talked about getting this field for other reasons and stuff other than Bigfoot, I did too. I got into it for UFOs, and that kind of stuff. Because at 5 years of age, my father and I saw a UFO hovering over the slate dump up here, which I thought was unusual because my dad was a police officer, the chief of police, and he told me to be quiet. But anyhow, I've seen UFOs, including with Dan and Julie, about 2.5 months ago. We went on a Bigfoot investigation near Mingo Park, where other Bigfoot sightings have been, and we didn't see a Bigfoot. I found one track though, but we did see 2 UFOs. So I mean, there's a connection somewhere, and I mean, I got pictures of a UFO. I'm going to bring up to the thing up on the 25th, but I got 7 close-up pictures of this thing hovering over me, which is right adjacent, by the way, to Crescent Heights. Ron will tell you it's right across this little valley. And we've had Bigfoot sightings throughout that area and UFO sightings and stuff. And I will hope that you'll let me come back on your show. And I promise to make the next one. You know why I didn't make this one, like I said. But
yeah,
because I have a lot to talk about and stuff, and I don't want to take time away from everybody else and stuff. And I do apologize for running my gums so much and jumping around so much. But I'm just excited to talk about this stuff, as you well know, and it's hard to
It is
contain my
exciting to talk
enthusiasm.
about this.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, and listen to other guys and, women and who do this kind of stuff like I do, and seeing things like this, it really kind of, we all know these things exist. We all know they exist, but we have to bring that that evidence, that proof, or whatever, to the public, so they believe, and quit looking down on us, and then you have a lot of negative trolling on these groups, and stuff I've seen, and it's very disheartening and stuff, But I want to. I mean, I'm getting older. I'm suffering from some issues too. Just so you know, I'm still battling cancer. And I have other health issues too. So I don't know how much longer I'm going to be around. So it's going to be up to you younger ones to carry on the fight when I'm gone, and do what you do and do it the right way, and that's all I want. I may never get the answers I seek. You might, but you can't be dissuaded by the general public who has a tendency to look down and deride you for doing this stuff. I admire everything you all do. I really do. All of you.
Well, the thing with me is it's not necessarily the trolls. I don't actually get on Facebook groups much at all. Like some people follow every Facebook group, Bigfoot Facebook group. I don't do that. I really don't want to. I don't really care. And people are like, well, you're not this, you're not that, because you don't know the ins and outs of this. No, I don't know. I'll be the first one to admit, I do not know the entire history of every Bigfoot sighting in the United States, world, whatever. I know some general things. Do I need to? Maybe. But I don't. What I do is record what's happening now. I try to talk to people and record, what's going on now. That in the moment now. And the thing that gets me is when I say I want to, that there, sometimes I just want to hang my hat up, is some of these people that are out there that think, I don't want to step on toes, and I know there's people out there that think the likes, the views, the book sales, that's the important thing to them.
Right.
That's why there's times I don't step back away from it, because I don't feel that way. I've got a book out. And people are like, how'd you? I don't know. I don't care. People are interested. I hate to say it that way. I don't care how many books I sell. I really don't. I don't. I don't. The publishing company makes their money off of it. That's fine. That's what they wanted. I don't care how many I sell. I enjoy when people have the book and come to me and like, hey, you really enjoyed this. That's important to me. But the money from it, I don't care. I don't make any money from it. And I'll tell anybody that wants to hear, I don't make a dime off of them, really, at all. And my thing is giving people a place to come and talk to, to share their stories and share their experience and document that experience, whether it's Bigfoot, whether it's aliens, whether it's ghosts, whether it's whatever. I believe in oral traditions, or oral, keeping those stories alive, and recording those stories, whether it's on paper, whether it's through this type of media or videos. That's what I like doing. I'm not out to prove that something exists. I'm not out to prove that they exist. Sorry, John, but I'm not out to prove they exist to have them protected. I don't care. I mean, it's great they will be protected if they are proven, but that's not what I'm doing. I don't need to prove it to myself that they exist. Not really. I talk to people and I help them understand, or help them come to terms with what they've experienced. Is what I try to do.
Right.
So
I understand.
I know, and some people don't like hearing that, I guess. But that's the way I do it. But I also like to look into.
Well, you're right.
Yeah, I also like to look into historical things. I like to look into the historical documentation and newspapers, and if you follow some of that, you'll realize that these things have been around a long time.
Yes, they have.
Way before,
Well, they've even found cave pictures.
Right.
So, I mean, this is before documentation and books.
Yeah.
Right.
And you got to look in.
Right.
That's something that I've been looking into.
Les, you helped me out. You helped me open up. And thank you.
You're welcome, Tammy. I mean, you've been a great friend. I enjoy our adventures, because we can talk without BS. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes.
And let me say it, Tammy's like, no, wait a minute. If I'll say something a couple times, she goes, oh, wait a minute, let's think about that. And I'll come around. Like, yeah, you're right. Let's think about this. Yeah, she's been right there to keep me in line a couple of times.
So the print we found the last time me and you were out, I did some digging into it, and it was a mountain lion print we found.
Really? Sweet.
Most definitely.
Yep.
And that's awesome.
I never even put that out there. Yeah, Tammy and I were in up in the Forbes State Forest in Pennsylvania. Down, Ron, you probably knows that area a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know real well, but you know where Shumi Road is, or Sumi?
I believe so.
Okay. We were in there and hiked the trail down to the creek, and we found a print. And I told Tammy, I was like, look at this. I said, that looks like a cat print. And we took some pictures of it, and we both assumed it was probably a mountain lion, but I was like, really? That was, thought that was really cool. So who did you talk to, Tammy?
Oh, me in the library and Google, and I just started digging in and comparing, and that was the closest thing I found was a mountain lion print, because mountain lions will extend their claws when they're walking.
Right.
Because we did see one claw print in that, and they will do that.
Yeah, it was.
Were you aware, Tammy, and Les, that there are black panther, which are about half the size of the western cougar that still live in Pennsylvania?
There's stories of the black
the American cougar.
Yeah, there's Black Panther stories in every state on the East Coast. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, I've come across a few people that would tell me they've seen a black cat.
Mm-hmm. Here's what's interesting to me about the Black Panther stuff. Science says that it's not a panther, basically, or not the panther, but that the mountain lion does not have that melanistic trait to be black. Well, guess what they just recently found in Canada? It's not a mountain lion, but it's the first ever that was caught on a game camera, first ever black bobcat ever recorded.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting.
That is something that I do have in my area, is a lot of bobcats, and there's been tales of mountain lion being in this area.
I do know here there's in my backyard behind my house, there's bobcat, because I've caught them on game cameras. You sit down and hear them scream at night, but I've never come across.
I've heard them scream.
that print we found was the first time I've ever found a print that I would say was probably a mountain lion. That's the first time ever, and that was I've never found one here in West Virginia. I've talked to dozens and dozens of people that say they have, and I've talked to. I know people are probably like, well, what are we talking about mountain lions for? But I'll share a little story here. I talked to 3 separate DNR officers, and they all tell you the same thing. They are told to say that the eastern mountain lion does not exist in West Virginia. Well, that's kind of a loophole kind of way, because they're saying eastern mountain lion. The eastern mountain lion probably is extinct. The last one in West Virginia known to be killed was like the late 1800s, early 1900s. Now, what they don't say is that the Florida panther is starting to migrate north, and the panthers the mountain lions, the western mountain lions, have started to migrate west. So what people could be saying, are one of those, most likely more of the western mountain lions, which there was one, I think it was New Hampshire or Vermont or something like that several years ago that was actually hit by a car, and that was documented that it was a western mountain lion. The other thing that I find interesting is when I talked to, another gentleman about this. He owned a game checking station, gun store, pawn shop, all rolled, a feed store, all this rolled into one. And he knows what I do. He knows what I go out and look for and stuff. And every time I would go in there, he's like, did you find anything? Have you seen anything? I'm like, no, not yet. Well, the one time I walked in and I looked at him, I said, hey, I know you got a lot of people come in here, a lot of hunters. I said, has anybody ever said they've seen big cats? And man, I'll tell you what, he could talk to me about seeing Bigfoot or, if I've ever found Bigfoot. But when I asked him that, you could have swore I asked him the most taboo question ever. And he looks at me and we're standing at the main counter and he does this. He nods his head like to the side, like motioning me to go down the far end. We walk down and he's like, yeah, he said, about that. He said, a couple years ago, he said, I had a regular customer come in. And he said, he walks up to me and he calls me by my name. And he said, I killed a mountain lion. And he's like, no, you didn't. You're full of it. You didn't kill a mountain lion. They don't exist in West Virginia. They're extinct. The guy's like, I'm telling you, I killed a mountain lion. And he's like, why is DNR? He said, DNR tells us they don't exist. He said, you come to my house. He said, it's in my freezer. And he's like, what? He said, it's in my freezer. So he goes to this guy's house like a day or two later, and they go in his garage, and he's like a lot of typical people, they're hunters and stuff. He had a big deep freeze in his garage, this chest-sized or whatever you want to call it, chest-sized deep freeze. The guy goes over and he opens that deep freeze, and he said, I'm stunned. He said, there it is, laying in. Tony says, Connecticut lion hit by a car 3 months ago. In Pennsylvania, one hit by a car. But he goes over and he looks at this thing and he picks it up and he said, and I'll be damned, he said, it's a mountain lion. So he eventually later on goes to, I think it's Pocahontas County, I believe, which in the 70s, you're going to still find these online. If you looked mountain lions in Pocahontas County, there was 2 caught in 1970 or killed in 1970, 74, something like that. But they swear they were escaped from somewhere. But anyway, his brother-in-law is a DNR officer in Pocahontas County, and he's down there fishing with his brother-in-law. And he brings it up. He said, hey, I had a customer come in and said, I killed a mountain lion. And his brother-in-law looks at him like, yeah, I don't doubt it. Probably, yeah. He said, well, you said they're not supposed to exist. They're extinct. He said, I'm telling you, I was holding that in my hand. I was holding it in my hands. He's like, I don't doubt it. And he said, what? And he says, his brother-in-law looked at him. He said, he told me the same thing that these other DNR officers told me. He said, we're to say that the eastern mountain lion is extinct in West Virginia and is no longer here. And he said, then he went on to say, but if it is an eastern mountain lion, they can do a DNA test because there's been studies done. They could tell you if it's an actual eastern mountain lion. 2, if it's one that has been or has escaped from some establishment, which French Creek area, they have mountain lions, down to game park and game reserve. If it's something that escaped from something like that, or if it's, someone had gotten it from somewhere and they let it loose, if it is, in that range or in that aspect, it should be inoculated, and they could do the blood test and find out that it was come from an area. Then he looks at him and he says he drops the bomb on him. And he looks at me and goes, if it's one of them that we have released in the state, it will have a tattooed number in its upper lip. I guess as a way of tracking these things. So that DNR officer actually admitted that West Virginia has released mountain lions here in the state.
Les, I hate to tell you this, but I have to go.
Okay.
But I'd like to be on your show if you mind. And Again, I apologize for running my mouth and jumping around from subject to subject. I do that all the time, but I'll try to keep it focused when I get back on your show. And I want to say something else too. Thank you for understanding what I told you about before. Means a lot to me. Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. I understand for sure. Yeah.
Tammy, good night. I'll talk to you later. It's nice meeting you again, I want to follow up with you too, if you wouldn't mind and stuff. And I'd like to show you all some pictures next time, if you wouldn't mind as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice
Absolutely.
meeting you, John.
All right, John. We'll see you.
Good night.
All right. Looks. I don't know where Ron went. Ron had to go somewhere. It looks like. So. Oh wow, Tammy, I didn't realize we've been on here 2 hours. Holy cow. Holy cow.
That's okay. Hey, I'm planning another camping trip. I know where I'm going. My big dilemma is to tent camp or get a cabin, because I'd like to go for at least 3 days.
Where are you going to try to get to? Up
my spot.
Up your spot. Okay.
So I'm going back and forth. That's my biggest dilemma: tent camp or get a cabin.
Get a cabin.
Okay.
Yeah, be comfortable for once.
Yeah, I'd enjoy that.
Yeah, I'm reading some comments here. It says company just walked in. This is Griff. Company just walked in. Catch y'all later. We'll see you, Griff. Don't forget the PA game com says that commission that we don't have mountain lions here in PA. My father saw a black panther mountain lion here by Cook Forest State Park when we was hunting years ago. Yeah, it was, let me see here. I lived in several places in Calhoun County from 95 to 09. Two things I know are there at least on occasions. Two things I know are there at least on occasion are the forest people and big cats. Bob, we need to talk some more. I'm going to come out to Parkersburg here pretty soon. I'd like to meet up with you for lunch and sit down and, chew your ear a little bit. Night. Nancy says, night, everyone. Stay safe camping. I'll get a cabin, but used to tent camp. So yeah, Nancy says she's going to camp. She's getting a cabin. I'm just reading stuff here, guys.
Something comfortable and dry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey. Ron, you need to come down, man. I need to take you some places down here.
Oh, I'd love to. Once I get through May and June, my schedule's opening up. I didn't take a lot of events this year because I wanted to get out and do some other exploring. Because I started a fan page for Bigfoot and try to get out there a little bit more. I'm trying to do some random show ups at different events. Just ride in like I did when out at Hillman, and just trying to get some notification to what I'm doing, and try to bring more people in that may not know about what's out there. Because we could post and post and post about our events, but there's just people that don't see all that stuff sometimes.
I'd like to do a.
Sorry, I stepped away to get some coffee.
I like to do an invite only camp out. Tammy, you, Daniel, Bill, John, if he wants to come. I'd like to get Mothman 46 there. A couple other guys that from up in the Pennsylvania, Ohio area. I'd love to get maybe 10 people together and just do like a small camp out kind of.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
I know. I got some plans on getting back into my woods here again. I know you came up the one night, and after that night, I haven't had anything come to my house for the longest time. Because I know where I explained to you about that was like after I went back and did some investigating back in my woods after hearing a howl from my front porch. After the investigation, I started getting activity in my backyard. And it just kept getting stronger and stronger. And that's what we talked about. And you came up. Just recently, I started realizing that they're back. So I'm not sure if they just stayed away from my area and just stayed in the woods, or well, the woods where they live, or they've migrated and came back. I'm not sure about that yet. I'm really looking forward to figuring that one out. It seems like these ones, and a matter of fact, this is the area I happened to move into with a story that John was talking about, the investigation that was in Creston Heights. That was one of the stories that intrigued me to get even further into information because it was close to me. Because I grew up in Deemston. I went to Best Center. We had a 68-acre farm over there. That's where I had my family sighting, and I'm 15 minutes away from that where I live now. And after hearing that howl, I went back. I had my confirmations with some wood knocks and foot stomping at me, and I've seen footprints back there and just all kinds of things. Different people telling me stories from this area. So it's really interesting to be living in an area that what a lot of people would consider as a hot spot. And I just want to keep going back here and just get more confirmation from this, and possibly even, a full frontal viewing. It goes back to this whole thing with the PTSD about people being scared to go back into the woods. I'm drawn because of my sighting. I want to have my full-on confirmation, and I'm just that crazy nut that if I saw one, I probably wouldn't just sit there or walk away. I'd probably go to it and try to greet myself to it.
Right.
It's just a thing that I have in my mind, because if you look back, the communication that they had with the Native Americans, that was something I was going to bring up earlier. I am reaching out to certain people that I know that are either elders or family members of different tribes. Whenever I was a kid, I was actually accepted in as a spirit child to the Abbott tribe, and the elder had passed away, but I'm trying to reach out to the rest of the family just to see if I can get any information from them. And it's a very interesting thing to know that, like I mentioned about the cave drawings. I've seen shows where they have gone into these caves and shown where these Indians, Native Americans, have seen these drawings from their ancestors depicting a Bigfoot. And to not only to look at the fact of their existence, I also want to look at the fact that is it possible that someday that they will walk among us? If they feel that they feel safe with us, that we're not going to destroy, because you know as well as I do, humans are destructive. We're a very dangerous animal, so to speak. And I understand their fear of not wanting to be close to us. But again, if they have that feeling, I kind of look at them like the movie Predator. How the predator knows if you're there for ill intent. I feel that they have that same sense. This is more of like a telepathic kind of a feeling, as a lot of people think. Your presence is already known before you even step into the woods. And I feel that they know that I'm not there for ill intent. That's why a lot of people, they'll say, hey, why don't you carry a weapon, protect yourself? The only reason why I would need to protect myself is from some other animal that was trying to attack me, not them. But I elude myself from the weapons, so I don't have them having any feeling towards me that I'm going to do them harm. Not that they could, because obviously they're way stronger than us. I mean, considering their size, I'm just probably like a rag doll to them, But that is something that I've been exploring, is the whole aspect of the Native Americans. One of the reasons that it started with me is because I celebrate our code talkers, the Native Americans that were in the Marines, in the military. Right. So again, that falls underneath of my PTSD with the veterans. This is a lost society that people don't even talk about. They did a huge thing to help us win the war. If anybody knows anything about code talking, I can't remember exactly which war it was right now. I'm sorry, that's eluding me. But we was able to win that war because of the Native American code talkers. So I think they're a very important background for any of the history that we have, whether it's just normal society or in the cryptid world, because they have that connection.
Yeah, I agree.
Have you ever come across burial grounds?
Well, I can't exactly say yes or no. I mean, and I've been in areas where I have found rock stacks, I guess you'd say. But I can't say they were, because because we have a lot of, in some of the areas around here, we have a lot of old walls that are built also that were there from farmers or whatever landowners years past. So I can't say whether what I found were actually burial mounds or whether they were just discarded rock. And I'd say the only way I could tell was I'd have to, would have to excavate it, which it would be a no-no. That's definitely a no-no.
Absolutely, because their spirits actually protect the grounds.
Yeah.
I have come across them. I used to fish up in Mountain Davis every year for first day of trout. And I've talked to the locals that live there. Anytime I have the opportunity that I'm in the woods, I'm out looking. I want to find my evidence, whatever I need to. And when I talk to these locals, they says, "Oh, hey, go up this trail and you'll find the burial grounds." Well, we found them. And there was also tree breaks around them, about 10 feet in the air. It had a real weird, eerie feeling. And they even told me that. They said, you'll feel eerie when you walk into these because they're protected by their spirits of the ancestors, or maybe even, we talk about having that feeling of something watching us. I felt like we had something watching us the whole time we were in that area. It's really interesting to come up on something like that. They're very large stacks of rocks. And at first we didn't even realize we walked into the middle of this. There was probably about 30 of them.
The only thing that I have seen that I would say was kind of odd, I can't say that it was actually from a Bigfoot. I was hiking in the Forbes National Forest with Bob Schultz, Lisa, Fred. There's a couple others. And Fred and I come across, we noticed there was a divot in the ground. And then we noticed there was a stack of rock. But just down from it, there was a ring. Something had made something or someone made a ring out of these rocks. And it's been there a while. You could tell.
Oh, wow.
And there was a ring, but it wasn't completely closed. You come around and there was kind of like a open spot where it looked like there was a walkway that come into this ring. Whether that was Bigfoot, I mean, where it was located, it wasn't far from where I think it was in, I can't remember the year right now. The fella I know, you know who he is too, but Sam Squatch, that's on Facebook, he knows the case. He would tell me he knows the year. But we're literally a couple 100 feet from where two of these things crossed the road in front of a mother and daughter as they drove down the hill on Mud Pike off of the Forbes State Forest. So whether that was Bigfoot related, I'm not sure.
What do you think about the aspect of a ritual site? Did it have any tendencies to that?
I'm sorry, what was it? Wrong?
A ritual site. Do you think that it had, like doing rituals?
I don't know. I really don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it was Bigfoot related or I don't know. It was strange. It was definitely strange. I mean, you definitely tell either the rocks were taken from that divot and stacked for some reason, or something. but that circle was this strange thing,
Yeah.
I could see the rocks, but that circle that someone or somebody made,
Yeah, it's not like
was
it would
weird.
be a
Yeah.
fire pit if the one end was
No, no, no,
open.
no, no. It wasn't.
That's
It wasn't a circle. I'm sorry.
yeah.
I don't want to make everybody think it's a circle. It was oblong. I almost say circle, but it was like this oblong ring.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, if I remember right, probably about 4 feet across, 4 to 5 feet across, about 8 feet long, somewhere in that neighborhood. But the weirdest part is when it come to the bottom, it was open and it looked like it had rocks that started it like an entrance, but they
Yeah.
didn't go very far.
That's what I find interesting about
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah.
why didn't they complete it?
Yeah.
There's something behind that.
My buddy Wes here, he lives in an area where there's been a lot of Native American artifacts found. He actually finds a lot himself, and he says he's calling it a medicine wheel. And now that he said that, I do remember. I remember seeing that on a show.
Okay.
They were in the maybe it was I'm trying to remember if it was in the Superstition Mountains out west, and they were talking about they found that ring and they called it, that's what they call it, the medicine wheel.
The medicine wheel. Well, that's interesting. I like that. I'll have to check into some of that and get some research on that. I like the sounds of that one. That's something new that I'd never heard of.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll learn a lot more once I get in touch with some of the elders. Ever since Dan's show last year in Virginia, I've been in touch with William Nighthawk, and just trying to learn some of his ways is really interesting. I find the Native American culture very interesting. They could teach us a lot.
Absolutely. I'm reading some of these comments right here. Here's one. I'm a transplant from Arizona, a place where many spiritual beings exist. I even experienced a few of them. Moving to Appalachia, I have become more intrigued and want to go explore. Preferably with a group of like-minded individuals. I always wanted to return to the life of respecting land.
Awesome.
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
Ron. I was just trying to catch some of these comments. And
no, that's quite okay. I enjoy listening to that one. I think your idea of getting a group together would be absolutely great, and bring some of these people that are interested in this along.
Yeah. Wes and Bob both say there are mounds right up the road for me. Well, there's a mound. Bob says there's a mound. Wes said there's a burial ground not far from me. Yeah, I remember you telling me about that, Wes, when I was down there. I forgot about that. I'd like to come. I need to come down there again. I need you to take me. You show me that. Wes had. I like to get Wes on here. I don't know if he'll come on because he's kind of a quiet guy. But he had an absolutely amazing encounter. Two of them actually on his property. No worries. I know the feeling. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a fantastic show. Thank you, Mothman 46. You're a great friend, buddy. Great friend. And yeah, it's been a fun show. And I didn't realize we're over 2 hours already.
Oh, we can get caught up in conversation for a while.
Yeah. Ron, I need to get you on. I'll look at, let me see here. We're going to do it right now. How about that?
All right.
Got my calendar here. Got 4th and 11th of July. It's on a Thursday.
I can't get to my calendar right now because I'm on my phone, but I will confirm that with you.
Okay.
You said 4th or 11th.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah, I'll confirm with you after this. I know that sounds familiar for something that I have going on in July. I'll have to double check.
Okay. Well, let me know. If not, we'll figure out something. I might.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, because the only other one I got is June 27th, and that's the Bigfoot Festival.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I probably won't be doing one there.
Yeah, we're going to be enjoying ourselves too much to be able to do a podcast.
If I got enough service, man, we could do maybe
a
a short
campfire
live one there.
podcast.
Yeah, we do that.
Hell
Have to
yeah!
see what kind of service
Why
you got.
not?
Yeah. Yep, that sounds cool. Maybe we try that. We'll see how it works. But as of now, I'm not going to schedule anything for any guests because we're going to be busy.
Yeah.
We're going to be around the campfire telling stories on that. That's the Thursday. I think that's the first night that I'm doing the campfire stories too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is your first night, if I remember the schedule right.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I'm really jazzed about this year. I feel bad that we had to change locations. I absolutely love being in the actual town, but this is going to be fun and different being in the park this year.
Yeah, I enjoy the coziness of the town, but hey, it's grown to the point where the town just can't handle it. I mean, hey kiddo.
Hi, Daddy.
The town just can't handle it there anymore. There's too many people. The logistics of parking and stuff is just
it's unfortunate because it's just like a small town feel when it's going on. I absolutely love it. I mean, I remember the first year I came down whenever I had discussed all that. I actually rode down on my bike, and I came into that little town on the bike, and I was like, man, it just feels so homey down here. And then the whole family down there that runs that, those guys are so great.
Yeah.
And they're so welcoming to everybody. It's just it could be thunderstorming or hailstorm or whatever, and they could just be smiling like this is great. We have all these people, and it's just wonderful.
It was like that last year.
Yeah,
it rained, and hey, people were still there. They come out,
but we powered through.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Pike Days here because it's going on right now. I'm actually heading out tomorrow to sell a few things just to throw a little cash in my pocket for these events.
Yeah.
And it's going to rain tomorrow, but I don't care. I'm going to be under tarp. It happens every year during Pike Days. So
yeah, we do the same thing. Like when we want to go do a few extra things, I'll start cleaning stuff out. We'll go to the flea market. We'll do this, I love you too, Bob. You gonna lay down?
I wanted to show you something out there.
We can show you.
It's magnet stuff on TV.
Oh, okay.
Really cool.
And Wes says hi, and he says Mason's his middle name.
Yeah, I read them.
I read them. Well, I'm just trying to catch on the comments. I appreciate everybody coming. I appreciate you coming and talking, Ron and Tammy. I appreciate you being here.
Well, it's my pleasure. I absolutely love getting on here and getting to get the information out.
Yeah. And Grace says you both could talk all night. Very interesting.
That reminds me, I went on Bill's show for the first time last year around New Year's, and I was supposed to be a 45-minute segment. It turned into 3.5 hours.
Yeah. And Bob's like, I've enjoyed it immensely. Thank you all for the great discussion and including me. Absolutely, Bob. You're, anybody that's worked with Robert W. Morgan, he gets respect from me. Yeah, that's for sure. Tony, I can't wait to meet you at the festival. Yeah, Tony, come and find us. Me and Ron will be, I don't know where we'll be. We'll be set up somewhere together. But we'll definitely be there. And the campfire stories will definitely probably be somewhere together during that.
Well, don't forget about the other show you and I have coming up too with Dan.
Oh, yeah. Next
Saturday. It's at Bakersville Community Park in Somerset, PA. Actually, Dan and I are actually this Saturday doing a promotional show at Trailhead Brewery. in
Right.
Rockwood, PA. So could try to promote the show a little bit, but there's a lot of good things going on at that event as well.
Right.
But yourself and myself and Daniel Benoit and Gwendolyn's going to be there, and
Mm-hmm.
John's going to be there, and Fred Saluga.
Fred Saluga.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So-
Gwen was supposed to be here tonight, but she messaged me a little bit ago and said that she, because she's a paramedic, and she got called out on a call, and it was unable.
Oh,
it was unable
well,
to make it, so.
That reminds me. Whenever I said that I started out with the veterans,
Mhm.
helping with them, after doing these shows, I actually had people come up to me after speaking and say, well, hey, what about this or what about that? So I heard them, I listened, and that's why I've expanded from the veterans over to all the first responders and their families, and also in the cryptid world. So, how can I be here in the cryptid world and not help everybody in this part of it? So, just so everybody knows that that's where my help lies. So by all means, like Les said, whenever you know that we're going to be somewhere, stop by and say hi and share your stories. And if there's something that you're dealing with that you can't handle and you need to talk, we're all there. That's what we do.
Yep. Tammy, you'll be down at Marilyn says she loves your hair, Mason. You'll be down at the Bigfoot Festival year, won't you? This year? Are you gonna be able to make it down?
I have nobody to drive me down.
Oh. Maybe
my son-in-law is still bedridden.
Maybe we'll figure something out, because I'll be down there. I have to be down there all 3 days, from daylight to dark, pretty much. Well, maybe we can figure something out.
Okay, I appreciate that.
If not, or if we can't figure that out, would you want to ride up to Somerset with me next Saturday?
My hometown? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You got her on that one.
Okay.
I haven't been home in a long time.
I'll get a hold of you and see when I'm leaving. Because when does it start, Ron? Is it 10?
I believe it is 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's a couple hours for me, so we'll probably leave.
Let me look up the flyer real quick. It's either 10 or 11.
I was thinking it was 10.
I want to say it is. But regardless, it's going to be a great show. I'm the MC of it, so I'm going to make this fun.
Gray said 10 to 6.
Thank you. I'll stop looking it up then.
I thought it was 10. I couldn't remember if it was 6 or 5 or 6 that it ended, but I do remember it being 10. So yeah. So Tammy, I'll get a hold of you, and I mean you're on the way, because I'll be coming through Morgantown, right? Get over there. I'll go to Morgantown across 68 and up. Is that right?
Yeah, I go from home to Uniontown to Connellsville, grab 281 and go in that way. That's just how I go.
Okay. Well, then I'll have you as my, my guide, my.
No,
navigator.
I'm going to take a nap.
Okay. All right. Well, I got to get this one to bed. I'm surprised he's still up. Mom didn't make you go to bed yet? I was waiting for you. He's waiting for me. Oh, and he wants to show you this. Ron, he's got something he wants to show you. Here, you hold it up here.
I made this in the art class. It's a cartoony version of me.
Look.
I made it.
Oh, that's awesome, buddy.
Why are you frowning?
Yeah, I guess I wanted to.
Why are you frowning?
Because I wanted to.
Because you wanted to.
I also have a stitched mouth.
Turn it upside down. You'll be
jabber a lot,
standing
so
on
I
your
keep a
head,
stitched
and then you'll
mouth.
be smiling.
Oh, here's another one he drew. He said, I wish I, yeah. Okay, he don't want to. All right, I better get him to bed. Thank you all for coming. Thank
At
you,
least
Tammy.
this-
Thank you,
this
Ron.
one, this
Thank
one.
you, Bill,
This
if
one.
you're still out there. Thank you, John.
That one. That's it.
And yeah, Ron, let me know if you can do the 4th, 11th. If not, we'll figure something out.
That one only.
Yep.
Show 'em that one.
I definitely will.
All righty. I'll see you guys next time.
All right. Good night, everybody. Go bless.
Good night. Tammy, I'll get a hold of you.
Okay. Nice meeting you, Ron.
Nice meeting you as well.
All right. Good night, guys.
Dad, show 'em this one. At least show Tim.
I just want to thank, Tony says, nice drawing, Mason. Thank you all for coming. Good night to everybody. Wes, have a good night. I'll get a hold of you, but I want to come back down. And I was down in your area there a couple weeks ago. They was having a expedition down at Babcock, and I got invited to come down and talk to some folks down there. So, yeah, I'll get a hold of you. And yeah, had a great time. Trying to find my video here. And we'll see everybody next time. Bye, y'all.